Hold Back the Night, that's the Tramps. It's Nick Coffer on BBC Three Counties Radio. Let's look at the work of Recover. It's a Hertfordshire-based project creating a new life for old pieces. Sounds like you could help me. Okay, sorry. Old pieces of furniture.
That's
right.
So.
I shall read this properly. Creating a new life for old pieces of furniture whilst also helping change the lives of vulnerable adults and adults in need. Now, at the Recover workshop in Welwyn Garden City, volunteers help upcycle furniture while learning countless transferable skills along the way. It was set up by Ian Block. It's run by him and Holly Brunsden. They're here with Natalie Mills, who volunteered there between 2012 and 2015 and has got quite a story to tell as well. And we'll do your story in a moment, Natalie. Ian, you made the schoolboy error of coming to my studio and saying, try not to ask me any questions, which means I'm going to ask you the first question. It's just the streak I have in me. But you did set this up. So in fairness, I do have to come to you first. What was the thinking behind Recover?
To provide an environment where people could come along and gain some confidence and self-esteem and feelings of self-worth and value, and mainly by providing not just a workshop environment but structure and routine, a purpose for people to get up, a place to go to, mainly for people that had some difficulties or hardships and needed perhaps a helping hand on their journey to reintegrate the community, quite often pathways to employment. I
guess also there's the whole question of focus, because yesterday I was talking to an actress who's done a one-woman show all about the benefits of gardening in relation to helping mental health.
Yeah.
And we got on to talking about mindfulness, and which, by the way, I don't really buy. I understand it, but what I do understand about mindfulness is that notion of having something else to focus on. So if you are having mental health difficulties, if you are, for example, depressed, creative arts can shift those bits of your brain to just focusing on the here and now and what you're doing. Did you see that in the people that come to the workshop?
Certainly. If you are someone that suffers from depression or anxiety and you don't have anything else to do or get a reason to get up and go out, or you find it difficult to, you become paralysed because your head is completely full of
and depression is very good at paralysing. It's a clever beast, isn't it?
It certainly is. And by taking the step, it's not always easy. It can be a difficult first step, but by being able to go out of your home and turn up at somewhere is a big step, and a reason that a person can pat themselves on the back. They've made an effort, and that's often the very start of the journey, just being able to make that first step, which is the difficult one.
And you made that first step, Holly?
I did indeed.
How big a step was it for you?
Well, very big. For 18 months, I hardly left my house before I started at Recover.
What was your situation at the time? Did you have family? Were you employed?
I was made redundant from a job and tried my utmost to find another job. But at the time, economically, things were very hard. So I kind of gave up, and 18 months did nothing at all, and became paralysed by anxiety, depression, agoraphobia.
To someone listening to this who hasn't suffered from any of those key elements, they may well be thinking, how on earth can you get stuck in a house for 18 months? What was stopping you from just sorting it out, getting up and going out?
Well, when you're a busy person, you have a routine. You have a reason to set the alarm every day. You have a reason to leave the house every day.
It's the metaphorical gun to the head, isn't it?
Yeah, you have to do it.
Yeah.
When you don't have to do it and you've been kicked in the teeth by life for one reason or another, your self-confidence plummets, your self-esteem plummets, and you just kind of give up on yourself after a time.
Those 18 months, part of me wonders whether they would have felt like the slowest 18 months of your life, but equally almost as if they didn't exist. So that there's this paradox that you were just in almost like a semi-coma state, and it just went 18 months you'll never get back.
Yes, absolutely. I wasn't living, I was just existing on a day-to-day basis. And the minutes seemed like hours, and yet looking back, I can't remember really what I did to fill the time.
I remember when some years ago when I trained as a Samaritan volunteer, and we looked at what suicide is and what taking your life is. And one of the things that really surprised me at the time is that you also look at the notion of a living suicide. It's not a phrase they would use. I've just used that phrase. But what they mean by that is the giving up, the not living, the staying in bed, is in effect I'm not living anymore.
Absolutely.
Just without the actual element of taking your life. Is that how you experienced it?
Yes, there's a total void. And even though I'm very fortunate I have wonderful family, great friends and a network, you don't get any joy from any of those things. You are just living in a void.
You're a creative. You're an artist, Natalie. So you're driven by creating things, and that's what stimulates your brain. You lost your job. What happened to the artist in you? Oh, you didn't lose your job. I beg your pardon. But what happened to the artist in you when you became unwell?
It brought it out in me, and actually the Recover project was a big part of that, because I hadn't picked up a paintbrush for 15 years at least after graduating with my BA in '98. Fell into sort of high-pressured sales roles in the city, etc. Just really burnt out, became very depressed. I had no reason, like Holly said. I had everything really, that you could want, I suppose. Boyfriend, house, great job, great family, friends, social life. And it just hit me like a ton of bricks. And I did actually take time off. I was not well, support of my employers, etc. Who's probably listening. Hello. And and I started volunteering at the Recover team. It gave me purpose again. It started building my confidence. But most of all, I reignited my passion for art, which I'd lost. And it was something that just sort of made me myself again, if not the happiest I've ever been, really, in my life. And I know that now, looking back, that I was probably unhappy for quite a while.
If only I knew someone in this room who had followed a commercial path when in fact they were an inveterate creative, and that had led them to be completely burnt out, and it was only later in their life they discovered creativity. If only I knew someone sitting around this table here who could. But all joking aside, because it's not about me, but I know that lots of my listeners will identify with that story because it is really hard. Lots of us are inveterate creatives, romantic creatives. I would even go as far as to say, and our generation, our society, it's quite hard to live that creative dream, isn't it? And so you do fall into the rat race, and you do fall into the city, and it's just not what you want.
No, exactly. So I do feel very privileged to be doing what I love doing now. I mean, I've left the Recover project, but it was an amazing journey with the Recover project and a great stepping stone. So it's all because of them, really. Ian,
just give me a sense of, look, we've focused here because all three of you have alluded to mental health issues. Broaden this out for me a bit. What are we seeing at Recover that isn't directly linked to, for example, depression and anxiety? Some of the other people you've helped, and how do you help them in the workshop?
I'd say quite often, a lot of our current members and members that have been through the Recover workshop would have more than one issue. Okay. So there could be a form of drug and alcohol dependency, which could also be linked with mental health problems. So I think the term would be dual diagnosis.
Yes.
We've also supported people that have been homeless. So we've had referrals through the local YMCA. We've worked with the criminal justice system, so we've tried to help offenders. But that might be the primary presenting issue, but along with that there are usually emotional and mental health problems as well.
Can anybody upcycle furniture, Holly?
I would say yes, if they have a mind to do so. Yeah. A lot of the volunteers that come into our workshop have never had the opportunity to be creative before. Yeah. And within a few weeks or months, sometimes it takes a bit longer to bring the creativity out in someone. You are seeing bolder colours being used, bigger items of furniture.
So you can actually, on a therapeutic level, see how they're developing based on what they're presenting on the furniture.
Absolutely. People tend to start by picking small items of furniture like a bedside cabinet.
Yeah.
painting it in quite conservative colour scheme. But as they progress in their journey,
they end up with fuchsia pink.
Yes, absolutely.
That would be my journey in and you then sell the furniture.
We do.
So of course they're also getting the pleasure, the self-esteem building of seeing their work actually being bought. And I mean, is the final product, because I'm a bit of an upcycler myself. I belong to upcycling groups on Facebook, and is it as good as some of the things that we see elsewhere? Are you finding that people who know about this kind of thing, like designers and people who love doing their houses, are they actually saying, "Wow, this work is amazing"?
Feedback has been fantastic.
What I mean is, it's not sympathy. It's not like, "Oh, isn't this nice that they painted this
people
chest of drawers?"
Spending several hundreds of pounds on a piece of furniture. It's not about sympathy. It is a feel-good factor that not only they're getting a nice piece of furniture and they're supporting good cause, but it is usually down to price and quality. And all the feedback is good. What we're teaching the volunteers, so the creativity comes from within, but to start with, we're providing methods and systems. So anyone can upcycle in the way we do it. So it's steps. And if people use the steps and processes, including their creativity, then the product is good.
I feel like I want to come and do a course. Yeah. It's Nick Coffer here on BBC Three Counties Radio. I still want to find out about Natalie's trip to India, which is going on, I think, in about 10 days' time. It's quite a trip. We'll find out about that after Dolly Parton and Jolene.
Saturday from 2 here on BBC Three Counties Radio.
And it'll be brilliant as always. Natalie, talk to me about India.
I applied for an artist residency in southern India in the state of Kerala, and I was accepted. And I actually go on Sunday, so it's only a few
Kerala
days.
means coconut.
Does it?
Yeah, and that's why all the Kerala curries are coconut based.
Oh, lovely.
A part of the world I'd love to go to.
A whole month of coconut curries then.
You have got a month of... So what are you going to be doing there?
Well, it's an artist residency and it's self-led. So it would basically be... They would provide a studio for me to be completely immersed in my artwork. That's one part of it, the main part of it. And sort of, free my mind and forget about the everyday stresses of life, because it's all been a therapy for me, as you know. But also they've asked me to visit, if I wanted to visit some schools for underprivileged children, and do art workshops, so sort of injects a bit of colour and creativity in their lives. I'm really looking forward to that, almost giving back a little bit.
Absolutely, and you'll have the cultural aspect, the social aspect, the artistic aspect. It's almost the perfect trip.
I hope so, yeah.
And food.
Oh, and 3 meals a day apparently, so I'm
very, very
only
loose.
3 now.
Plus snacks, obviously.
With regards to Recover, where do you go from here? I know you've had some new funding that's enabled you to open up a new project, and you want people to get involved in that.
Yes, absolutely. This is outside of our core day-to-day running. We've received some funding to pilot some workshops for people we wouldn't ordinarily reach. So primarily people that are experiencing social isolation, respite for carers, anyone who's feeling lonely or left out. We will be running out of our normal workshop hours classes.
And how can they get involved?
How can they get involved? All the information is on our website, which is recoverteam.co.uk. And give us a call. There are a few spaces left on the up-and-coming workshop. So,
just so my listeners know where they can come and find this beautiful furniture, Ian, it is where? I mean, it's not where. I mean,
it's in Welling Garden City.
You understood what I meant the first time.
It's nice. It's a light and airy, light industrial unit. It was dilapidated when we moved in, but it's now a state-of-the-art artisan upcycling workshop with a space or an area within designated as a showroom for our finished products, and people pop in. We're not on the high street, excuse the pun, so we do take a little bit of finding, but people do make the effort, and we have daily visits.
What's the address?
It's Unit 19, 192 in Court, and that's in Welling Garden City. It's sort of behind B&Q.
Got it. And recoverteam.co.uk for the website, especially if you want to get involved in this new course that you've launched there that you've mentioned, or equally you just want to go along because you've had a tough time of it. You like the idea of getting involved in some furniture upcycling, some woodworking, some painting. You think it could be for you. Do you offer a taster session? Can someone come along and just...
Well, the courses that Holly was talking about, just so they are free of charge, which is nice. So people can come along, experience, have a taster, and perhaps going forwards they could join our team.
See, I love this kind of story because it benefits my listeners in so many ways. They can come and buy the furniture from you, or equally, we all know people who could benefit from what you're doing. Anybody that wants to see your art and your journey, Natalie, to India, where can they do that?
Yeah, my website, you can see my work on Millsy Art, MILLSY art.co.uk, and you can follow my Indian journey on my Facebook page, which is also Millsy Art.
Good luck. I think it's going to be a great thing. And I am actually, as we speak, going to like your Facebook page so I can be kept up to date with the pictures. Will you indulge me and post at least one of food?
Oh, yeah.
And
I'll probably post quite a few.
Tag me in it, okay?
No worries.
And post me a nice Kerala prawn curry. Ian, I mean, literally post me if you want. Ian, Holly, Natalie, it's a great story. Long may your success continue.
Thank you.
Recoverteam.co.uk if you want to find out where you can get all that lovely furniture. It's heading up to 1 o'clock here on BBC Three Counties Radio.
Travel news for beds, hearts and bucks.
BBC Three Counties Radio.